LED technology screens. I was sitting around with family the other day having some interesting topics and discussions on levitating cities, and basically what I like to talk about is why can't they build cities under the ocean? Which now I understand why. Because it wouldn't be a problem, I would think, with structure, but basically the materials needed to pretty much put a city under the ocean wouldn't be that hard to do. Because keep in mind, if you go to the aquarium, if you've ever been behind the aquarium, you see that giant huge sheet of glass on the way of structure. They got giant fish life in there, marine life in there, tons of water, and the fact that one of the things having cracked open and killed a bunch of people means that thing is pretty well structured. Which means if you were to take it upside down, turn upside down, and drain the water out, and then put in a kind of a system using a form of, you need power, of course, to run the whole thing. Use hydroelectric energy because you're surrounded by water. But that wouldn't be the problem. The problem would be is the depth issue. That would be it. That's the part I didn't see coming. And it's interesting because depending on how many meters that you sit in the ocean, depends on basically your survival. So at 800 meters, it goes dark at 800 meters. Let me see. How many meters in the ocean before everything goes dark? So let me see. At 200 meters, the twilight zone. Light decreases greater than 1,000. So, is the ocean dark at 800 meters? Yes. So 800 meters, the ocean is completely dark. So you definitely have to have some kind of lighting system down there, which you're going to need anyway, if the ocean is going to be dark for you to see from A to B. But interesting factor right here is that at 800 meters, if you're talking about a tsunami with a 400-foot wave, would it hit 800 meters under the ocean? Base, let me see. I looked into all this too on top of that. Tsunami would hit 1,000. That would hit 1,000? Wait, would that hit 1,000? Are you kidding me? Wow, that's pretty far down there. Wait. Let's see. Tsunami reaching 800 meters, approximately 2,000 Alright, so good gracious, are you freaking kidding me? That's insane. Well, that would be a problem if one of those things popped up. So tsunami can reach 800, reaching 800 meters approximately. Alright, so let me see. Distance. Alright, so yeah, you definitely get hit with one of these things because the average distance of the depth distance to shore would be 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters would strike you easy. At 800 meters, you would definitely get struck with that with no problem whatsoever. But then you run the problem of even if you're in an area where you don't even have these at, you still run into the problem of basically being able to do transports back and forth, to bring people back and forth. I think they said a mini submarine does around 300 meters. So if you're at 800, you're definitely in the danger zone. Your ship will get crushed in the process. It won't happen. If you're running a submarine can do 10,000. They could do 10,000 meters. But you know how expensive submarines are in the day? And again, like I said, it's a big vessel. They'd be traveling back and forth. You need something light, something small. That would be huge. At 10,000 meters, you can clear 800 meters, and then at 800 meters, everything goes dark. If you're at 200 meters, which is the average underwater hotel that they have, they're 200 meters. You're not that far from the getting to the surface. But another problem you run into also too, at 300 meters, scuba equipment doesn't work. You're going to have to be at 30 to 130. A professional will be at 130. Why a person of non-professional would be at 30 meters. So then you really are in a danger zone at 300. So I didn't really think about the whole meter system because I was sitting there talking at the table, and my buddy was like, "Did you ever consider the depth situation?" And I was like, "Not really." So that would be a problem unless you did this at 800 meters and you had all submarines. But then again, even the system that you would have, the city would have to have some kind of pressurized system because it would implode. Easy, it would implode. At 800, you would easily implode with no problem. I wonder why that kind of freaking Ocean Gate didn't fix that nonsense out, because there's no way in the world that would be even possible. Average human, you're talking about 130 to 30. So there's no way in the world you could actually, at 300 meters, you couldn't even leave that capsule to swim out. You couldn't do it. You'd have to be in a submarine to do it. So let me see. How many meters can a mini submarine survive? All right, so you got a typical dead at around 400 meters. Okay, that's even worse than 3. 400 meters. How many meters can you swim with scuba gear? 40 meters, around 130. You're not leaving that vessel. You're not leaving. You can't leave it. You would get crushed in the process. So you're not leaving that way. You'd have to take a sub to do it. But you got the big boys, and that's 10,000. But then where's the city going to depth going to hit? Because now I'm finding out that a tsunami, or what you want to call them, they can reach at 1,000. Yeah, big what storm would have to be to reach 1,000. You're talking about a 400-foot wave on top, and at the bottom it's reaching 1,000 meters. That's pretty nice. Nightmare. That's a nightmare right there. That's how big they are. That's why when they hit shore, everything gets flooded. You know how much water that's bringing in. So, tsunami on top of the ocean, it's kicking in a 400-foot wave. God knows how wide it is. Under the ocean, it's 1,000 meters. If you got a submarine, you can escape it. If you're under the ocean, because submarines can drop to about 10,000. If you're in a mini sub, you're screwed because they only do about 300. That's pretty much it. Yeah, imagine that basically when that hits. So you got 1,000 meters of driven water coming up on top of the additional 400-meter wave on top of that. Yeah, good luck on that one. That's catastrophic on so many levels. It's not even funny. But would it clear the city? You would have to be a lot farther than that. And the only way you would be able to do this, you would have to have submarines. The only way. It's the only way you'd be able to get back and forth. There's no other way you can do it. You're not swimming it, you'll die. There's no way in the world. So yeah, when we're talking at the table, the only way you'll be able to get a city that can escape tsunami, if one were to pop up, better safe than sorry. But then another risk you fall into is the pressure system. Like, okay, you run the risk of the entire system, the whole city being crushed. So that's another thing you run into on top of that. Deterioration, you can't use plastics because basically plastics give off chemicals, and that would be an issue right there. 2 elements you can use is titanium and gold, but they're extremely expensive. Yeah, you're going to literally build an entire city out of gold and titanium. There's going to be stuff missing left and right. That's interesting. And I can see the complications you would have there. Definitely. You're better off building something in outer space. Really, trust me. Wow. I didn't really think about the meter system and all that. Let me to 130. How many meters can a submarine go under? Submarines. Classic SeaWorld does 4. No, they don't do 10,000. They're doing SeaWolf does 490 meters. Classic does 490. Whatever this DSRS, they do 1,524. Jeez. Okay, question. How many meters can a nuclear submarine dive? 300 meters. You're not escaping a tsunami with that. You're not going to escape it. The other submarine, the other one they had there, well, you would easily do it with that one. I don't easy you would do it that one, but there is no way in the world. None of those would escape. So this is the only one that can do it. The one at 1500 could do it. 1500 some change. Deepest dive on a submarine. All right, you got it by feet. 35,853 feet. But what is it by meters? Meters. Deepest dive for a submarine by meters. Good gracious. One actually dropped that far? 10,000. No, it's 11,000. 10,928. Gee whiz Louise. All right, curious. How deep is the Titanic? Yeah, that's the reason people have a problem trying to find that. But it's 12,500 meters. So, yeah. Mind you, a mini sub that's 400. 3 to 400. So that just tells you at the end of the day why would someone attempt this in a hull that was made out of plastic. And you really break it down, look at the meter system and all, on how far these things can drop. Good gracious, it's sunk that far down. So the wreck of the Titanic approximately is 12,500 feet in depth. And a mini submarine can only hit 400. So you're not even going to see that at all, period. You're not even going to come close to that at all. Average human is 30 to 130. So no, that's not happening either. And submarines, most of them are doing like 300, 400, 500 meters. They got one that does 1,500. Okay, that's not even going to hit it. They got to send probes down there. That's the only way they're seeing that thing. They got to send a probe. Because there's no submarine can reach the Titanic. Let me see, is there anything reach the Titanic? There's got to be something. Is there a submarine that can reach the Titanic? Yeah, some submarines can reach the Titanic. All right. These subs right here have that capability. Not the big boys, it'd be the smaller ones. They can reach them. Unless they got a compressed hull at the end of the day. Still, wouldn't be doing it. That's a lot of pressure. That's a ton of pressure. What was he thinking? Why did you even build that out of plastic? That thing's going to last a second down there. You're talking about, is that 12,500 meters? You're in the ocean. And you're going to take a sub down there? The average sub that's actually, the hull is actually constructed much stronger, can reach 400. There's some that actually can reach. I can imagine the capacity of how well constructed the hull must be. And you took it down a plastic container? That's madness. If you look at that, people look at it, when they saw that happen, they just look at a sub imploding. But when you break down the numbers on exactly how much pressure can survive at certain depths of the ocean, there is no way in the world that would have ever been possible. I don't know what he was thinking. That's no way in the world. You're talking about a regular a man-made big submarines, nuclear subs can't travel that far. And they're way bigger than that. Come on, they're well better constructed than that. And then the average Explorer subs, they do 400. So what made you think that you built the entire unit out of plexiglass or fiberglass or whatever you built out of? He was going to drop at 12,500 meters? Boy, yes, boy. None of those millionaires saw that one? You could have Googled that at the end of the day and you could have saved your life. That's crazy. That's absolute madness. That is madness. That is madness. There's no way in the world. Because I'm looking at this by the meter system on how to do a city under the ocean. I can see where it's complicated. It's not so much complicated in the structure and building how to power it. It's the meter system that's a nightmare. Because again, you still have to get in and out of this city, back and forth. You got to get supplies down there. And what are you going to do with those supplies? Repairs, anything, machinery, equipment, all that stuff has to be brought down. So where's this? How many meters is this city going to sit? Now, if you got in an area where you're not going to have tsunamis, then guess what? You're in a really good zone right there. Because again, you don't have to worry about being like so many meters down to miss that thing. But then you do run the risk of earthquakes and everything else down there waiting for you. But yeah, they got that meter called. They got that the lab called the Aquarius. Lab called Aquarius underwater. The Aquarius. That's the Aquarius right there. This is the first structure underwater that they made. First structure. How many meters is the Aquarius base underwater? 19 meters. 19 meters, approximately 19 to 62 feet below the ocean floor. So it's 19 meters, that's it. And a scuba diver would be, professional would be 130. An amateur would be 30 meters if they could drop. So they're in a safe zone. They made it where it's in a safe zone. So I can see how they went about building this thing. Because they couldn't have it too far down, because then you run the risk of basically having a scuba diver be killed. And they couldn't have it where we can still go down there with subs, the whole 9 yards, everything else. It's in a little comfortable zone right there. But the problem you have is if a storm hits that thing, it's going to tear it up. It's going to take it right up. But if you're in an area you don't have storms, then you don't have to worry about that at all, period. Missing's in the Florida Keys. What's interesting too when you think about it, Florida's been hit by many hurricanes. You've never heard anything about that submarine coming up, that base coming up, being detached or destroyed. So, yeah, they must be doing something, right? It would be, if you put a city under the ocean, I mean, yeah, the whole meter system could pose a nightmare. But I'm pretty sure somebody will figure out, design something that could travel back and forth, We got the technology to do all that stuff. So it wouldn't be hard to do. The other problem you would have is basically how with trash disposal, waste, all that stuff, because that could pretty much destroy the entire ecosystem down. So how would you be transferring the stuff in and out? Any complications? This is the part I didn't think about. I kept talking about a city. I'm thinking about how you can build it. I'm not talking about all the complication parts that can come with it. I mean, it can be done. Trust me, it can be done. But as I said for that, you have any idea what the death penalty, if you committed a crime, they would probably do? They'd probably do the same thing they do in spaceships. They put you in a capsule and blast you out in outer space. They'll probably do that there. Death penalty? Yeah. You know what I mean? Basically, you just become fish food at the end of the day. Something to eat you. But that's pretty much what you'll probably do. Oh, man, you would have no crime down there. You would have zero crime. They're going to put you in a capsule and blast you out into the ocean. Yeah, they would have no crime out there. No one wants to get blasted out in the ocean. Or even worse, much worse, somebody could make a device basically for the death penalty. It can be a containment unit with sharks. They can blast you into that right there. So, yeah, number of ways you can go. But either way, it still would be cool. On top of that, consider the fact that you're basically wrapped around large sources of ocean water, because we talked about that. Being able to power the city wouldn't be hard to do. You'd have a vent system at the top that flushes in tons of water. That tons of water comes in through like a funnel system to concentrate that push. It'll hit those turbines and power the turbines, and also to release that water back out. It's a constant circulation of power. You could run the entire thing. But then, like I said, the whole meter system, yeah, that's a bit of a nightmare right there, because you have to figure out where's the sweet spot going to be at. Can't be too far under, because again, submarines, swimmers, divers, you got to do repairs on that thing too. If something goes wrong, somebody's got to go out there and do those repairs. So you get AI and machine go out there and do it. And if that breaks down, guess what? Somebody has to go out there and fix the machine. That needs to go out there and fix whatever is going on out there. So still, humans are going to be needed. So the kind of machines repair machines, I don't think we want to go down that route. But anyway, so you're still going to have complications and problems where it's definitely going to need to be attended by a person, or it could possibly have some problems out there. Huh, that's really interesting. Discussion groups. Got to bring that to the discussion group. I think somebody did bring that up about the whole depth meter system would be a hard thing to do because certain depths would cause problems. On top of that, consider the fact that at 800 meters, you're down that far, you definitely would have some stress on the structure, so you would have some tearing and ripping going on. And maybe that's the reason why in every movie you saw involving something being under the water, like some kind of lab, wasn't really that far from the surface. And that's interesting to think about. You know, it's funny. You can have a city under the ocean. You can have endless power. It's all free, and they're still going to charge you money for it. Yep. Just like on what was that movie called with Schwarzenegger, where basically they were on the Mars and they would charge them for air. Can you imagine? The price of air is going up again. Oh, that is crazy. There's always going to be somebody going to try to make money off of it. Some natural resource and try to make money off of it. The price of air is going up again. Gee whiz, we gotta freaking pay to breathe. I swear, if we ever, which I don't think we would, but if we ever got the chance to be able to go to another planet, if there's no oxygen on that planet, I'm not going up there. Because they're going to charge you for it. You know it's going to come up there. It's something that you need. Anything that you need that they can basically turn it into a resource of money, they're going to definitely charge you for it. You definitely get charged for air. Unless they pass some law where you can't basically make money off of it. But you know they're going to will. Man is greedy. Yeah, I like talking. My family has interesting topics. We talked about the moon landing, all that stuff, evolution, stuff like that we talk about. I swear I got some people in my family that actually pretty interesting. Didn't know they actually had that point of view. Some of them actually believe in the moon landing. I don't believe in the moon landing. I don't think it ever happened. I really don't. You sit there and say, but it did happen. It did happen. Look, man. Technology we had back in the 60s was so old compared to the technology we have now. I don't know why no one's ever linked that up. We only want one time. That's it. One time. That's it. Come on, man. The first time they figured out a way how to fly a shuttle into outer space, how many times we've been up there to that space station? Multiple times we've been to the space station. So we've been up there and we have the capability and to fly to a space shuttle and dock. And we've done this dozens of times. How come we haven't been back to the moon? And people sit there and say, oh, but it really happened. No, it didn't happen. We've got to wait till 2026 or 2035 or whatever they choose to go back to the moon. After the fact that the technology we have today is far more advanced. In the 60s, so you mean to tell me you stick a capsule on top of a rocket, break the Earth's gravitational pull, goes in outer space, orbits around, blasts it to the moon, orbits around the moon, lands on the moon. They do what they got to do. It takes off, descends back to Earth, breaks the gravitational pull, plunges into the ocean, put out a beacon, Coast Guard comes picks it up. And now the ones we have today, they can be blasted on ship. They come in by themselves. They fly in and land by themselves. That means the technology has changed dramatically. Do we have a space station up there around that time when we hit the moon? No, we didn't have a space station up there. Maybe if it was satellite. There's no space station like we got now. We have a space station up there. We got satellites. Billionaires have the ability to launch things into outer space. Literally, that's how advanced the technology's got now. And we still haven't been back to the moon. We got to wait all this time. Yeah, okay, sure. I'll tell you right now, we had the same conversation about Area 51, where they believe there's aliens. There are no aliens. If there are aliens, something would have been here by now. You gotta be kidding me. We've been here for how many different races and different civilizations lived on planet Earth? And no giant mothership. You don't have nothing where you had people drawing in books or history books or some weird giant flying saucer. Nothing at all? Not a thing. You think about it. If you're back in the day of the 1800s and something came out of the sky with lights and everything on it and these guys walked out, don't you think somebody would have written that down on some bear? Where now today we would have read about it, it would have been a part of history.
Apparently, they had time travel. Apparently, they got something going on with them because they were able to travel from light year to planet to planet to planet to find ours from where they came from. So we had that discussion right there. I'm like, there's no. There's no aliens, man. There's no aliens. And the reason why there's no aliens is because God and the devil were here before anybody else. And I'll tell you why. Because the devil was God's right-hand angel. He wasn't always evil. He became corrupt with power. That's what made him evil. You think, how would the devil get in heaven to begin with? He can't go to heaven. He's evil. God doesn't know evil. What would he be doing there? That means at one point he was a good angel. That's why he called them fallen angels. That's what he was. He's a fallen angel. So wouldn't you think if the devil has the power to corrupt a man's mind, what do you think it would be to do to basically an alien race? Same thing. All right, then with that being said also too, we're saying, well, the corrupt animals at that particular time in the Garden of Eden didn't know about killing, didn't know about death. You can sit there and lay on a lion and sleep with a lion, whatever you want to do. Lion can lay down with the lamb. It was no death or murder. Not until Eve ate from the tree and became woke and then realized she brought sin upon the world and the world was cursed. Then you had death and destruction on the world. Then you had wars and all that. That all came from the devil because that's what the devil wanted. That's what he needed. So you have to understand. You read your Bible, you understand so much more. You would understand that before we had sin on the earth, we had Adam and Eve. That's why there's no cavemen. I literally had this conversation. One of them actually believes we had cavemen. No, we don't have cavemen. Why is it when you go to the museum, you can find all kinds of fossils and every kind of form of animal we had at that particular time, but when it comes to the caveman exhibit, they're all mannequins. Every single one, they're mannequins. So you mean to tell me, in all that digging around, you found all these bones for all these different animals and sea life and whatever, and you didn't find one fossil of a man? Because there wasn't any. It was just animals. It was just primal beasts that actually roamed the earth. That's all that it was. Meteor came out and destroyed? No, there was no meteor. That was Satan that came and hit the earth and destroyed the earth that way. Because Satan was upset. He thought he was going to overturn God, and his angels were thrown out. Crazy thing about it is, The Exorcist is based off a true story, and it is. And guess what? One of them actually said their name. They said exactly what his name was. I'm not going to repeat it, but he said what his name was. They have names attached to them. There is more than one that fell out of heaven. It isn't just Satan fell out. Satan fell out with a bunch of other angels. They're called fallens, which means there were other demons that followed with Satan. So, his little army at the end of the day to try to overtake God. So, when Satan was on the earth, and you had Adam and Eve that were also on the earth, and there was a hedge. There was a barrier that Satan couldn't get to. He needed to get to them to corrupt them. So he can basically spread his evil on the earth. Because since they didn't know anything about sin, they didn't know anything about envy or jealousy or murder, nothing about that, he didn't exist. And as long as they didn't eat from that tree, he had no power whatsoever. So he had to figure out exactly which one of these animals in the animal kingdom can I get them to let me get into their body to transfer me into this paradise. There's only animals can move in and out of there. And Adam and Eve. Satan couldn't get in there. And he's trying to figure out how to get in there. He can't get in there. Until he bumped into the snake. That's why snakes are considered to be cursed creatures. Snakes are the only animals out of the entire kingdom of animals it's considered to be a cursed creature. That's why you bring snakes into your house. You bring trouble into your house because the devil can actually go into snakes due to the fact that he was able to actually transfer his soul into a snake, go into the garden, convince Eve to eat from a tree, which she became woke. Adam also followed with an ate too and also became woke. And that's why when God came into the garden, he said, "Where are you?" He said, "We're hiding." He said, "Why are you hiding?" He said, "Because we're naked." Who told you you were naked? The only way you would know that, and that you ate from that tree I told you not to eat from. And from that, they got thrown out of paradise. And from that, this is where destruction and murder and everything else, all the bad and evil of this world, Satan is a part of, now had power on this world. There you go. Now you understand. So people sit there and go, all this evil is coming from God. It doesn't come from God. It comes from Satan. But it's not God's fault. It's our fault because, again, back then, they ate from the tree. Yet everything you possibly could want in life, and you ate from the tree because it wasn't enough. Man is greedy. Woman's greedy. We're all greedy. It's never enough. You can have all the money in the world, and you will still take more because it's never enough. You've seen people do it. People embezzle. They make tons of money. Not enough for them. They got to embezzle, have millions and millions and millions. Got more, 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 more. That's greed of the devil that does that. Yep. So all that, yeah. So yeah. Adam and Eve, when the dinosaurs were here first, and then it was Adam and Eve. Satan had already, when Adam and Eve came to the earth, Satan was already there when Adam and Eve was on the earth. He was already there. He'd been thrown out of heaven. He came here, and this is how the dinosaurs were wiped out. And Satan did all that. He did all that destruction when he came to earth. He was mad. He tore it up when he got down here. Now you have Adam and Eve, which woman, at the end of the day, that's why your name. I had explained to one of my Gen Zs at the end of the day, she said, no, but they were cavemen. I said, no. You listen to your name, woman. The reason why you have man in your name, because you are basically a product of man, which means that if you look at a woman has so many ribs, and man has one less rib than a woman, because God took the rib of Adam and made Eve. That's why your body is nothing more than just primal dust. This is where we came from. When you die, what happens to your body? It deteriorates. It goes back to dust. It goes back to where it came. The soul goes back to God because it belongs to Him. So she was trying to tell me they were cavemen. I said, no, it's no cavemen. None of that stuff exists at all, period. All this time, you done dug up every type of animal you could possibly think of. All different kinds of reptiles, bugs, birds, and everything in the face of the sun. You didn't bump into one freaking human being? No fossils? And then from other women sitting there saying, well, they found something. They didn't find anything. Let me tell you something. People in evolution, at the end of the day, are so desperate for a win. They will literally plant stuff, and they had. One time they found something. They found out to be a jawbone or something of a pig or something. It wasn't even a human. But it just tells you, how is that even possible? How in the world you've been digging for centuries, and you just found just about everything. Enough freaking prehistoric animals to fill a museum, and you didn't find one human bone. Nothing? That should tell you right there. Where did they go? You found everything else. Where did they go? Because they weren't there to begin with. There were no cavemen at all. God made man in the image of Himself. That's what He did. Jesus came down. What was Jesus? Jesus was the man when He came down. He made God and man in the image of Himself. Yeah, talk about that. At least they say listen. That's the beautiful thing about it. They didn't argue much. They listened. That's what they did, and that's good. Read your Bible. You don't believe me? Read your Bible. It's in the Bible. It's in the book. Read it. It's in there. Read it. What are you doing? Oh, it's doing something crazy. He's fighting this fish right now. Yep. Read your Bible, because the devil will twist you up and tell you something else. The evolution. Which one are we talking about? Because we get they're making it up as they go along. We get the Big Bang Theory. There's one where he actually came out of the water as fish and sprouted legs. That's another one. And there's one where he actually evolved from apes. Yeah, okay. Boy, I tell you, it's just hilarious on so many freaking levels. So many freaking levels. Yeah, everything just exploded into existence. That is the most easiest form of cop-out excuse I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh no, it just exploded out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere. Well, how did the explosion start? How did it get to the point of the explosion starting? Because that had to start from somewhere. If I got a box of fireworks sitting over in the corner, and it's going to blow up, something's got to trigger that. What triggered those fireworks to blow up? Can you tell me that? They shut right down. Or we don't really know how it happened. It just happened. Oh, wow. Like, really? You went to school for what? You studied what at the end of the day? And that's the best you could come up with? It just came out of nowhere and just boom? That's it? Oh, come on, man. That sounds like something like you really don't know what it is, but you want to sound like you know what it is. I got those in my family. We had little discussions of it back and forth. The ones that are sitting there saying they believe in evolution. These are the ones that believe in evolution. They believe in basically that the world exploded and therefore it is. I say, okay, so what was the cause and effect of the explosion that triggered it off to begin with? They can't tell me this. They're going to go, oh, microscopic gases and whatever. Okay, so what triggered off the microscopic gases? What charged that? It just goes on and on and on. It's a path to nothing because that's what it is. It's nothing. Something has to set that off. You can take a case of dynamite and sit in the corner. If it sits there, nothing touches it, it'll still sit there. Something has to trigger that dynamite to explode. Cause and effect. You can have water outside. If it turns to ice, what triggers it to turn to ice? It has to be something there to cause it. It just doesn't just turn to ice overnight. Something's got to trigger it. So that's the conversation I had with him. He was just baffled as baffled can be. There you go. You just answered your own question. You don't know. And you don't. And I'm bumping these guys all the time who believe in the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, if that was the case, you'd be in the woods, you'd be hearing explosions go off every 5 minutes because something could blow up into existence. Then they believe in evolution, constant change and evolve. Look, last I checked, a cat is still a cat. A dog is still a dog. Everything is what it is. What you don't evolution doesn't understand. So, well, how did a cat change from a prehistoric cat you had from like 10,000 BC, some big, huge, massive cat with huge fangs and all this stuff, or 10 billion, whatever you call it, had giant fangs and stuff? Because God changed the structure of those animals. That's what he did. There's no way in the world, basic common sense, you're going to have a Tyrannosaurus Rex existing in the timeline we're in now. Do you know the freaking nightmare creatures that were around in the prehistoric era? Let's not talk about the giant birds flying around that, again, mind you, you're on a 747 and you're watching a pterodactyl sink its claws into your jetliner and take it with it. Imagine the fish like a megalodon. You imagine the damage with one of those things would cause? I'm not talking about just one shark they do in movies. I'm talking multiple breeds of these animals. And that's not even the worst of it. The bugs that they have. Go look on YouTube and look up the nightmare creature bugs that they had back then. It was freaking unbelievable how nasty these things were. These things were huge. So, man's existence would cease to exist due to the fact that the massive wildlife would wipe it out easily. Survival rate wouldn't even be there. So what's the point of having a people at the end of the day that serves you at the end of the day, a people that you've made at the end of the day that have the way of right and wrong and whatever you want to give them at the end of the day, and you've got a wildlife that can wipe it out easily. That doesn't add up. So something had to go. Wildlife got wiped out by Satan. God remade all the animals again. Because you know, Adam basically named the animals from the Bible. The entire structure. They have similarity of looks of previous prehistoric creatures, but they don't have the massive size attached with them. Because the way animals are now, humans can survive on the earth. But if you were to switch that, and you were to take the prehistoric creatures and put them on the earth with us right now, how many of us was to be alive? There'd be wars going on constantly all the time for man's survival. What wars against people? Wars against those things at the end of the day. You had bugs the size of dinner plates. I mean, and I don't know, think about how many different species of dinosaurs, including a T-Rex. Raptors, extremely intelligent creatures. People will go missing left and right. Those things will be hunting and eating all day long. And again, they're not plant eaters at the end of the day either. You couldn't build anything. How are you going to build anything with these giant structures flying around, creatures flying around? They would destroy everything. Anything, they would just destroy it. It's like watching King Kong go loose in New York City. Imagine 30 of those. So you had giant apes. You had giant everything. Even they had giant wolves. Everything was huge. It was massive. So you can't go in the ocean. You get killed. Can't go in the woods. You'll definitely get killed. And even the bugs that could creep up in your place could kill you. Spiders were absolutely massive. Even the birds had scales on them. You wouldn't survive. Our survival, our wars wouldn't be with each other. Our wars would be with that. So there's no way in the world. Bugs in the prehistoric era. The nightmares of all nightmares. I watched that documentary on freaking on YouTube about the bugs that existed in that sense. My goodness. Cockroaches were bigger than your hands. You got a problem with mosquitoes at the end of the day? Yeah. You would need a serious assault weapons to get around this stuff at the end of the day. And you still wouldn't survive. You know why? Because there's billions of them. Just billions of them. Can you imagine going outside your house and seeing this? Can you imagine that? Or even worse, seeing that in your backyard. What do you think your survival rate would be? Good gracious, the size of that freaking centipede. That's a freaking bus right there. There's no way in the world, no way in the world you would survive it. And even God knew that. So look at the size reduction. From this down to something that small. Or the size of your finger. To something that was probably the size of a bus at one point. Because man, God knew at the end of the day that man wouldn't survive that. There's no way in the world. No way in the world. Look at this. Look at this madness right here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look how insane that would have been. Can you imagine you walking outside and seeing that creep through your garden? There you go. And don't forget about the scorpions. Or the scorpions, bees, all kinds of stuff they had back then. You know, when you look at the animals today, animals are replicas of what was at that particular time period that are now reduced to what they are now because of we would never survive it at all, period. We'd probably wipe each other out. Most likely, we'd probably have to basically result in nuclear warfare. And you know what nuclear warfare does to cockroaches, right? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Not a thing. Cockroaches can survive nuclear fallout. Can you imagine that? A creature, an insect that eats junk, trash, all day long, can survive a nuclear fallout. Can you imagine this, going into a cave and finding that? Nightmares. Absolute freaking nightmares. That's what you would have been dealing with. No freaking way. Yeah, it wouldn't be us fighting each other. It'd be our survival to fight them, and we wouldn't survive it. There's too many of them. And just consider the fact that if you were just to take the bumblebees, you know, different species of bumblebees that there are on the planet Earth right now. So you consider how many species of bumblebees are on the Earth. All right, so you got 250 species of bumblebees. A nest, let me see. How many bees contained into a nest? So a nest can carry anywhere of a colony of 20,000 to 80,000 bees per nest. And you have 250 species of this, and these things are the size of a Volkswagen. How long do you think you're going to survive on this planet? That's just the bees. We haven't counted the rest of the crazy stuff. The spiders and everything else, you know what I mean? Centipedes, scorpions. We haven't counted them. Let's just narrow it down to one species of bees. On top of this is actually kind of hilarious too, because I find it interesting how people find a hornet's nest or a bee's nest stuck to the side of their house, and they go out there and figure they're going to hit it with a can of Raid. I've had this conversation before. You're going to get jacked up. The average bee colony, you look it up for yourself, is 20 to 80,000 bees, depending on the season. Break that second summertime, you really got something coming. Colonies may have 10,000 to 15,000 bees, but in the summer they can reach up to 50,000 to 80,000 bees. Yeah, I hope you're good with that can of Raid because you're going to need it. I've seen people, that's why when they break these, people run, that's literally how many bees can actually transfer out of a beehive. Talk about coming to get some. Gee, I didn't realize that would mean, to tell you the truth, honestly, myself until I looked it up. And I was like, geez, that's insane. So if you're going to hit that thing, you're still going to get jacked up. It would be, the wintertime would be better because you got 10,000 to 15. But if you do that thing in the summertime, you're going to pick up 50,000 to 80,000 bees. That's enough to kill you. That's more than enough to kill you. This is the reason why you see somebody hit a beehive and you can literally see bees in mid-flight flying around because there's that many out there.
But anyway, yeah, there's no way in the world. No way in the world you would survive giant bees at that particular time. Prehistoric bees. Prehistoric bees, typically the bees that lived millions of years ago. Probably something like them killer bees. Yeah, because them killer bees are freaking vicious. Them suckers will hit on the glass with that freaking stinger. Good gracious. And mind you, we're supposed to get hit with them things. Remember, they just automatically just spin. No one talks about them anymore. Gotta take care of something today. And go in the meter system. The metric system. This is my regular bees. They had to be huge. I know that for a fact. Because the killer bees are huge. They're huge. And I imagine they're probably bigger than the killer bees. You got so many different versions of bees, it's not even funny. You got wasps. One-eighth of an inch? That's a big bee at 1/8 of an inch. That's how big they were. That's a huge bee. So you're talking about 80,000 of these can get a nest? Yeah. And it's 250 species of bees. So no, for those who are talking about evolution, no. That didn't change. God changed it. Because their survival rate wouldn't have existed. You're saying, well, no, but they evolved. They evolved into this and that. We evolved out of monkeys. I don't like bananas. I don't swing from a vine, to say the truth, honestly, no. So if that's the case, then you don't believe in Adam and Eve. That would make you an atheist. Well, when you pass off this earth and you wake up in the next life, you can explain to God how all his theories were lie. See how that works out for you. Because then you'd have to be an atheist to believe in that. You can't believe in both. You can't sit there and say, well, I believe in part of this is God and part of this is evolution. No, it don't work that way. Either it's all or nothing. Either you have faith or you don't have it. That's what that comes down to. Can't be no either or. Let me explain something to you about either or faith. If you're building a, let's say, put it this way, a fort. Would you build your fort out of notebook paper? That'd be stupid, right? The enemy just push right through that with nothing. You would find the most strongest structure elements that you can get to fortify your fort. That way you know that it can withstand any hits from the enemy. Same thing like your faith. If your faith isn't that strong, then guess who else knows it's not that strong? Your enemy, the devil, knows automatic from the door. He can see all the imperfections, all the problems with your armor, and he'll figure a way how to get in, to get to you. So, either it is or it isn't. Either you have faith or you don't. Can't be the theory of where you say that in the Bible it talks about how you can't get fresh water and polluted from water from the same well. It's either one or the other. Can't sit at a table with devils and angels and eat from the same table. You can't. One or the other. Can't do both. We had those in the family too, by the way. This is Gen Z. Man. Interesting. I would tell you that much. People look at Gen Z and they say, well, they're idiots. No, not really, to tell you the truth. They're really not. They're just not informed. That's all it is. They're just not informed. That's all it is. Once you inform them and you teach them, they'll understand pretty quick. They're very quick learners. They do. Mind, they didn't grow up in an era where basically everything you had to learn from it. Their era is a little bit more easier. They're in the digital age. If we had half the stuff that they had when I was coming up, things would have been a whole lot easier. You know what I mean? Cell phones? Are you kidding me? What the freak? A cell phone? I mean, we had cell phones when I was coming up then, but they were expensive. They weren't cheap. I was showing them my brick phone, and they were looking at me like, "What's this?" It's a brick phone. It's a phone. How you got your phone is a brick phone. I said, but the difference between the brick phone is we ain't had no apps, no touch screen, none of that whatsoever. We just had three-way, and three-way would cost you maybe 50, 60, 80 bucks for three-way because it was a luxury add-on for your phone. You paid for incoming and outgoing. You paid $4 a minute. $4 a minute. And if someone calls you, you're going to pay for it. You call them, they're going to pay for it. You pay for incoming and outgoing calls. And the phone was about $1,000, which roughly is what phones cost today, and probably a little bit more. But the brick phone was $1,000 and the bag phone was $500. I had both of them. Expensive toy to have. So he didn't talk long. Most of the time, you use your pager and you just hit a phone book. A phone booth, if it really wasn't really that important, you had to talk to somebody. The only time you use that phone is if you had dire emergency, like really, really emergency, the only time you use that phone. Other than that, you just use your pager. So that's how that went down. But yeah, it's the fact that Gen Z's races has it a lot more easier. I watched two of my the younglings go apply for jobs on a phone. When they did an email and a Zoom call popped up on their phone, did the whole thing from the phone. I'm like, wow, that's freaking crazy. Because I remember when I was coming up, you had to get dressed up, put on a suit and everything. You had to pound the payment. You had to go from store to store to store, fill out application after application after application after application. You had to go to the newspaper and see who was hiring, who had jobs. That's how it was when I came up. Man, you know how beautiful that technology would have been, and just pull out a phone, pull up an app, see who's hiring, typing all my information right from the phone, set up the interview on the phone through a Zoom call. Pfft, man, come on. And then when you need to find the place, all you gotta do is GPS it or just get a lift, pick you up, take you where you need to go. That wasn't when I was coming up. You had to figure out. You had to go get when they had the schedules, the bus schedules, and figure out where your bus route was going at, when you were getting set off here, let off here, maybe what time the bus was going to be there. You had to calculate all that stuff at the end of the day. Y'all got it freaking easy. I think that's what it is. They're not informed by it. So I'm gonna help some of them out. When we go camping, no cell phones. I'm gonna give you a map and a compass. You figure it out. You gotta get from A to B. That's it. You gotta read a map because you should know how to do it. Everybody should know how to read a map. It's very important to do. You could be somewhere your cell phone has no signal. Some of them have signal everywhere. Unless you got one of them special cell phones that got the satellite uplinks. Now those suckers can be reached anywhere, but they're used for emergencies. You don't call people on those things. When you got to call somebody to come in because you're stranded and need help or something like that, they're special phones. But other than that, yeah, you should know how to read a map. I get them a map. They were like, "What's this?" I was like, "It's a map." They know how to read it. They know how to read a compass. They know how to read all that stuff, man. So this summer, we're taking camping. Of course, the military's come along. They're going to be up there and take them all camping. No glamping. Camping. Only the older ones, not the younger ones. The young ones can't come. Here's the older ones. Yeah, 8-inch buck knife and a tarp. That's it. You figure it out. You gotta give them a flintstone too, because if not, they'll be out there trying to strike rocks and whatever God knows on them, and then they teach them how to use a flintstone, how to light fires. There's a flintstone, buck knife, and a tarp. That's good enough right there. I think that's enough. You want some water? Guess what? It's right there in the lake. You figure out how to start that fire, you can sanitize your water. A little fishing out there. I was looking at, we were talking about how people cook on stones. You can't cook on every stone. You can't. These guys, like I said, I like to watch these boondockers at the end of the day. They do some pretty cool stuff over there. Or bushcrafting, boondocking, all that stuff. But anyway, yeah. Like, no, we want to do the cabin, and we want to have the TV and the stereo, and cell phone signal and all that stuff, man, then we don't do that. That's where you have fun. You have good memories out of all that. Schnattavilla Temple Tarp. How hard can that be? Try to make it look easy for them. Give them a saw. Teach them not to tent under no widowmaker that you may not wake up the next day. Something snaps at night, it might be coming for you. Alright, I gotta go grab some stuff. I gotta paint this PC over here. Get that done. And I got a projector ordered too on top of that. I got another projector. I didn't add it in real quick, but yeah, I bought another Christie projector for $60. I just paid for it. I should have it. A $7 projector, I'm kind of questioning it. I don't think I'm going to get it. I think they're going to burn me on $7. I'm hoping they don't, because they got some nice stuff on their account. I would like to buy some of the stuff from them. Hoping they don't, but I've been messaging them back and forth. Well, not back and forth, just me messaging. I've been messaging. I got no response back. Not at all. But I'm gonna just leave it at maybe. Some people don't get around to their accounts. I mean, stuff that happens at the end of the day. They don't get around to their accounts, and then they do anything the messages up there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Take it all as a grain of salt. See what happens. I would like to get my $7 projector. That would be nice, because it'd be the cheapest one I have right now. But right now, I got another Christie coming in for $63. That was a good buy. The last one I want is I need a ViewSonic, and I need a couple of Pico projectors to take on the site. That's what I need. Oh, those of you emailing me about the gallons on the screen paint for the February 11th launch date on the technology we have here, which is the Quantum Black Star. The gallons, we don't sell the gallons. We do sell gallons, but you have to invoice for those. Again, as I showed you, the screen we painted in here, the screen's huge. It's a big screen, all right? These are dual 160-inch screens. They're big at 1610. That's why they're so tall. They're 1610-inch screens. And I was able to do that with under 50 ounces. Under 50 ounces. I was able to do that with no problem whatsoever. So you're not going to need a gallon. I don't know what you would paint them for a gallon, but most likely when we ship out gallons like this one right here, we have gunmetal going out tomorrow. Well, I need your money. This is our gunmetal going out tomorrow. Customer came and made an order for that. If you're interested in these, by the way, these are 360, but yeah, we had a customer going to get the gunmetal because they're available now on the other site. The gallon, he got that one because he put in the invoice came through for it. So we only do invoices. Well, certain ones, no. Wait, sit back. We do the gallons or invoices for the other screen paint. The Quantum doesn't have them. Quantum doesn't have the gallons. Certain ones we did choose. I got to bring that silver back too. We do have a silver version. If you've seen that stuff, it's gorgeous. We got to bring the exotic silver, exclusive silver. It's coming back. I got to change the label into the ILEG technology now and bring it back in. That will work for those of you who have Valvo, WeMax, and those other projectors we can't support because our product is too dark. That will work perfectly fine. You got to check out the video demonstrations on it. They were beautiful. All right, people. Oh, I'll freeze out here. Don't treat me this way. Turn that machine off because we don't need it. Put Taco's music on. I gotta go pick up a few things and come back in. Where's the snowstorm at? Where's the snow? Now, when you got some people who like to argue, and that's what they do. So, I'm not going to entertain you on what I said about basically evolution and all that stuff right there. You can pick up your Bible, read it. That's what you do. Because you got people that will argue with me about every little thing. I have no time to entertain you. I got way too much on my plate, too much to do. Pick up your Bible, read your Bible. And that's what I tell people at the end of the day. If you don't believe me, read it from the book. That's all. It's simple and plain. Read it from the book. That's the best way to learn. That's when I go see. Once you go to church and preach,
I would never believe. I would understand he's saying what he's saying, but I would basically fact checking the book. Because some people would just say anything, and they will. So read it from the book. People that are not going to tell you the right thing, and they want you to believe with how they want to see it, are not going to tell you to read from the book. Because the book is going to tell you the truth. I've seen preachers one time come back and tell me that you misread it wrong. You didn't read it wrong. And they start bringing in, well, I went to school for this and so forth and so forth. Look, if God made the Bible so complicated, no one would be able to understand it. No one would be able to get saved. No one would anything know about Jesus or anything whatsoever. If he made it so complicated. They do that because they make it sound like, well, I'm the only person you can come to learn this from. No, if you made the Bible so complicated, it would be impossible for anyone to learn it. Only certain people can go to school and learn it. Then there'd be some problems. There'd be a lot of problems right from there. You wouldn't be able to go in and read the book, and basically sometimes you have to fact check what a preacher said in the day. But the preacher might not be telling you the truth. That's what you can count on. You can always go back to that book and you can understand it. They have to go to school for it because they have to know enough of that book to be certified to teach. They have to have a degree in it. But you're not going to tell me the same thing I just read in a book that you're telling me it's different because I don't have a degree. That has nothing to do with it. God can guide you. The Holy Spirit can guide you on how to read that book. Why would God make something so complicated for you to learn when you know the devil's out there trying to take it from you? He's not going to make it complicated for you. All right, people. I'm going to go. I got things to do. Hope you enjoy. Be safe out there, and God bless.